The reality is the entire business of investing in real estate is a flip. Three major entry points of this business that the majority of people talk about. A wholesaler gets a property under contract at the right price point and ultimately flip that property to somebody like me. A flipper gets a property under contract at the right price point, renovates that property to ultimately put that property back on the market to flip that property to an end buyer, typically retail. A buy and holder buys a property at the right price point, renovates that property, rents that property out to ultimately flip that current mortgage into a long-term mortgage for passive income, because everything about the business is a flip.
Hello, hello, fortunes of the brave. That's what we are. We are absolutely brave. Every day we wake up and do what we're going to do. So welcome to the conversation, Mary Catherine Johnson, CXO for Planet Wealth. Thank you for joining us. And today I get to chat with Welby Aselli. Welby, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
Fan-stinking-tastic. You know, I woke up today. Then how can it be bad, right?
You're right about that. Absolutely. Totally agree.
So, for people who don't know who you are and what you do, just kind of give us a quick intro. What do you do?
Well, my name is Welby Aselli. On social media platforms, I'm known as at my best 197. I put it in in my name. I've been investing in real estate for over 22 years. I talk to the people and teach them about the good, the bad, the ugly of investing in real estate. I guess I'm well known for speaking on topics that the majority of people seem to not want to talk about or want to put it under the rug. I talk about my journey where essentially I was wiped out in this business three times to zero. I started investing in 2003, and by 2008, I was wiped out to zero. 2010, I got back into the business, and shortly thereafter, I got wiped out to zero. And then somewhere around late 2012, early 2013, same thing again. Didn't learn my lessons with the things that I was doing, and I got wiped out to zero. And then I realized that the biggest issue in this whole situation was me. I never truly betted on me. And finally, I decided to take responsibility for the things that I was not doing. I took the bull by the horn, and today I've been able to raise my portfolio to zero to an eight figure real estate portfolio. My portfolio generates tens of thousands of dollars in net income per month. And I believe that my calling, my drive is to teach the world the importance of real estate, because they're not making that anymore, and the power of real estate and why real estate is important, because ultimately everything is real estate when you really boil down to it. So
Definitely. So that I gotta say, you wanting to talk about the things other people don't want to talk about, and just basically telling me that three times you got wiped back down and coming back up, and the final realization was it wasn't anything outside, it was inside.
well,
Tell me more about that.
I do have to give some blame to some of the parties, because given the fact I was ignorant doesn't mean that you should have taken advantage of me,
That's
right?
right.
So when I speak on being taken advantage of, I talk about the players in this business. And who are the players in this business? These are realtors, contractors, lenders, inspectors, tenants, you name it, right? So I was ignorant to the business and I was taken advantage of. But there's so much that there's only but so much you could continue blaming people for, especially when they say, what is the definition of insanity when you're repeatedly doing the same thing expecting a different outcome? So the reality is that I never really truly bet on me. I was always looking for someone else to really put the work in, and I wanted to conduct myself and act like I was a boss, or act like I was an investor, or act like I was an entrepreneur, and I never really was. And I thought that it was that was needed was the ability to buy, and as long as I can buy, everything would work itself out. And that's not what happened. And the final time I lost, and that doesn't mean I didn't lose more. I haven't lost in my career, but those three pivotal points in my life, that last point in my life when I lost, I said I was left with a $90,000 check, but I was down $60,000-$70,000, but I was left with a $90,000 check. And I always tell the story about going back to go visit my parents. And you have to understand, my parents, especially my father, was watching his son being served, being his butt kicked for over a decade. So when he asked me about that last property, he was asking me, "Hey, Welby, how's that property going? What's going on with it?" And I told him I lost it again. And then basically he said to me, "Hey, son, you give up on this, right? You're done. You're not doing this anymore." And I told him, "I got it. I know what to do." And when I'm saying that to him, I had the check in my hand and I was waving it. This is before, wires were a big thing. Check. And I waved it in front of him and I said, "I know what to do." And I said, "You know what, Dad? All these years, all this money, the destruction of my credit, my name, everything, I never truly betted on me. So this last 90,000 that I have to my name, it was a lot of money, but in the bigger scheme of things, it wasn't a lot of money, right?" And I said, if there's anybody that's gonna mess this money up, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna bet on me, and I'm gonna try. And I turned that 90,000 into an 8-figure portfolio today. And and I want to show the world and teach the world, because the majority of people that hears me, if you're in this space, you're gonna relate to me and the journey and the story. So
Yeah. Well, Welby, I got to say, honesty is uh, is a rarity, especially on social media.
yeah,
And if you're telling people the truth and the and what happened to you, I mean, not this isn't you're not telling somebody else's story or saying somebody else has to do this or someone else had this happen. You're saying what actually happened to you. And in a time when most people want social media to just show the best
yeah.
and show this life that they want to live, but usually aren't living,
Go say
that's
this.
refreshing.
That's so wonderful, and I hope that your audience picked that up. What you just said, that they actually aren't living.
No.
And I do give a sprinkle of my life. I'm blessed. I'm blessed with. It's not all about materialistic things, but at the same time, you wanna have nice experiences, and why not treat yourself, right? But I give a little bit of sprinkle of that. But what's most important is not the end result. The end result is the reward. The journey that it took for me to get that is what's important. So when I talk about the mistakes that I made, when I talk about buying incorrectly, when I talk about evictions of tenants, so I talk about properties burning down that I own, that I've owned, and I still own today. Actually, people need to hear that, because you're going to go through these things, and people need to hear that. And I'm not embarrassed about what I've been through. And here's the beautiful thing: when you live in your truth, you don't have to remember the lie. You don't have to remember. So my story has been the same since I've gotten on social media. So when we talk about how the landscape of social media has changed dramatically over the last few years, if you pay attention towards the tail end, especially of 2025, and now in the early stages of 2026, you'll notice that the influencer stage has been pretty quiet, has really been softening. And I can say I thank God that it's amplified me that much more, because my story hasn't changed. And I'm thankful for the people that want to continue hearing it from me.
Yeah, and I've heard, and I'll just put this in because I agree with you. The influencer is starting to wane. It's starting to be less important, have less influence in that whole scheme of look how perfect this is and learn how to be perfect like me. There are many influencers who have online courses, DIY courses, who are shutting them down. And in the age of AI and perfection and wanting everything to look a certain way, um, I think you are going to be amplified because you are being honest, you are being real, and it hasn't changed since you got on social media. So I applaud you for that.
If,
First off,
if I may add to that too, I and it's allowed my social media platform, and even the offerings that I have of educating people, my communities, it's amplified that as well. But once again, my story's never changed. So anything that I share with my community, my mentees, is my life. Everything that I share with them, and they get to see daily. my day-to-day life of the struggles, the wins, the anger, everything, and they get to see that. So now it's a reflection on what they're going through, so that they don't feel alone. They're like, man, I'm going through the same thing too. And if Welby is going through this and he's still pushing and persevering, there's no reason why I can't as well. So
Yeah. So take me from I love what you said when you said I thought it was just all about buying something, but it's actually about being an entrepreneur. There's a big gap between those two things. Tell me what are some of the steps you actually took to realize and to actually do the work to be an entrepreneur instead of just buy something and think it's going to all work out. What were some of those things that you had to change in order to become a true entrepreneur?
well, I don't even like that title entrepreneur, right? But I'll wear it, right? But when we're talking
Business
about
owner.
business
Business owner.
owner
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
anything. Yeah.
Passion is not enough, right? So even though I have a lot of passion in it, but passion is not enough. On top of that, I grew up in the projects. Watched my parents. I'm first generation Haitian. Me and my brothers were born here, so we're first generation Americans. And I got to watch and see how hard my parents had to work to find the American dream and different things like that. I went to school to become an attorney, only to realize quickly that it wasn't going to work for me. And then, of course, I became gainfully employed. I was a welder for a period of time. I was doing inspection for a period of time. And granted, the money was good in the sense of you making six figures or whatever. But the reality of it was, I realized that you are never going to work your way out of your circumstance. Those days or those generations are over, where you have an employment, you have a job, and the one income is sufficient enough. I realized that it wasn't going to be enough. Even though I was living a decent life, but to get over that hump was never going to happen. So I put my hands in a bunch of things. I used to own a tire shop. I had a car dealership with me and my twin brother. I was always hustling, figuring it out, but I never really bogged down and put my mind to it to do something sincerely. Real estate was always there, but going back to what I shared with you with the story of what I did the first 10 years, I never really put my head down to really do it. Um, when I finally did, and I did my first quote unquote flip, I made $25,000. Think about this. Even today, think how long somebody has to work and save money, going to work every day, save, and then save up 25,000. I was able to do that. Then I was able to do it again. Then I was able to do it again. Then I was able to do it again. And now this 25,000 turned into 100,000, turned into 200,000. And I flipped my way into $1 million+. I flipped my way. And during that period of time, I struggled with paying my rent, even though I was paying my rent. When I got wiped out, I had lawsuits against me from Chase Bank, Bank of America, because of the foreclosures and different things like that. I became uh, uh, suicidal to a degree. I felt less of a man. I was embarrassed. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to that. So fast forwarding to a couple of years from where I'm at today, that's always been my drive. I'm not gonna go back to that life. I'm not gonna go back to that struggle. I'm not gonna go back to that fear. And no matter how high I could get on my lane, I'm not chasing nobody else. That's always a fear that a lot of people around me just don't understand. That fear that I have of going back to that. Then now when you see the landscape of the country and you seeing the level of struggle that people are having, the level and increase of rents that it is, and the difficulty of owning and all this stuff, sending the kids to school, all these different things like that. And I refuse to struggle in that way. And that's been like a big driving force for me.
That's so fantastic. And it's a common theme with people who are truly successful with their own efforts.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the foundation that you use to build what you've built is that foundation starts at what you know to be rock
Hmm.
bottom. And you're not going back to that rock bottom
I'm,
because you built a foundation on it.
yeah,
You know what it feels like to be
yeah,
there.
yeah,
You know you've been there. You don't have to wonder what's going to happen if you lose it all. You know.
yeah,
You know what it feels like.
yeah,
So you'd look at that as that's your foundation and then you build up from it and you know that foundation is just there on the bottom
yeah.
and you've built up from that.
It's always chasing you. I always call your economic death is always chasing you. And the goal for the Rockefellers and whomever else are famous families, there is a threshold of an economic death, but the goal is to be as far away as for it as possible, including it could be years, weeks, months, years, decades, generations. So you have some people that have positioned themselves and their family that the economic death of that family is months, weeks, months, years, decades, generations away. If you don't understand how to nurture it, protect it, it's coming. It's always coming. And I'm always looking behind my shoulder and trying to see it in the rearview mirror as far away as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. That's, and we all, like you said, you're first generation born in the US from Haitian parents. Um, we all started at a place. And usually with our parents, they tried, I don't know any parent who wouldn't want to try to do this, tried to have their kids start further along than
Of
they did.
course, of course,
That's the goal.
of
And
course.
so how can so I expect that where your parents started and where you started was a big gap.
Absolutely.
And now where you started but where you are now is a leap. Not just a little gap. It's a Grand Canyon leap
It's humbling.
from
It's humbling.
yeah.
It's humbling, and sometimes, and once again, I want to encourage the audience: run your own race. I'm not. No, no, don't
It's
compare
not a
yourself.
competition.
Yeah, it's not a competition. Run your own race. Sometimes I can't believe it myself. I pinch myself. Sometimes I pinch myself. Um, my home is paid for. I paid my home. My home is worth, I don't know, $1 million+. I paid it off in a handful of years, under a decade. Um, I had dreams of owning a Ferrari or Ferraris, and then to see them in my garage. I wanted this coming New Year. I wanted to bring in the New Year out the country. I never did it before. I just thought of how dope it would be. Hey, to bring in the New Year somewhere else, somewhere warm, and I did it, and it wasn't cheap to do, and I'm thankful, right? But then at the same time, I always make sure to stay humble and to be thankful and to never get beside yourself because you're no better than anybody else. You bleed like everybody else, but I'm thankful, and I'm thankful that I got my parents. My father, he's not doing as well as we would like, but we're thankful that he's home, and my mother as well, and they'll be okay. I'll make sure that they're okay if we have to. My brothers and I will make sure that they're okay. That's huge. That's
That's
big,
yes.
that's big.
Yes.
So
That's worth any 10 Ferraris.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I realize that. I wasn't saying that to try and out you as this
No, no, no.
amazing,
I
thing.
didn't think it.
But what I'm saying is that leap you took
Yeah,
through the hard lessons,
yeah,
and now you are trying to help others. You're putting the ladder down to them,
yeah.
right? And you're trying to help others not make the same mistakes, hopefully,
Oh yeah.
and be able to learn through what you've done and hopefully help them make a leap. And how many potential generations
It's
are
amazing
you?
that what you just said, and then it's actually happening in real life. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
l- last 2025 is just yesterday, right? I had over 30 plus, 30, almost 40 plus people buy their first investment properties ever, right? And what's most amazing about it is understand it took me over a decade plus to start getting the realization on certain things. And then from getting the realization, how long it took after to then see the fruits of my labor, right?
Yeah.
To then see them doing it their first time out
Yeah.
and doing it better, quicker, faster than me is
Yeah.
amazing. And I'm talking to my team, just one more thing. Talking to my team Monday, there's already 21 or 22 more of them coming into 2026 that are set to either be closing on their first or next deal that they did since being. It's just amazing, amazing. And to see the change in the trajectory of their lives, and then how it benefits their family, it's beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful. And I know, just by talking to you, that I know that you have the idea, or you have the ability to flip some mindset, right? To have people, help people look at things differently. And that's it. I mean, how do you break down those kinds of shifts in mindset, in people's mindset, so that you take hard things and make them feel achievable, or help people understand that they're achievable? I'm not taking away that they're hard. That life is hard. Nobody's going to get away from that. But it's achievable. So how,
I didn't even realize I had that in me, to be honest with you. And that's a gift from God that I didn't realize. But I had to go through all of the stuff that I'm gone through to realize that. And what happened is that I've been blessed with the ability to make it digestible and understandable, step by step by step by step by step. So many people have gone and done many things, because I know mentorship. I think mentorship is extremely important if you can find the right set of people, right? And I know people that have done supposed mentorships, and the mentorships would be an extension of months, even years, and then the cost of it is mind blowing to me that you could have already bought a house with that kind of money. And when they enter and they come to me, or and then we speak, to me, I'm like, the length of time that you were there and then the amount of money that you spent, you don't know this yet. You don't know this part yet. And partially what happens is there's a level of apprehensiveness initially with me because of what they experienced with some of the parties that we talked about previously. I don't take it lightly when somebody says, "You know what? I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna take a chance with you because I'm not gonna play with you. I'm not gonna waste your time. I'm not gonna waste your money. I'm not gonna play with you." Imagine having someone that went wherever that they went and was there for a year, and then here they are coming over here for a week, and they they ready to go.
already? Yep,
Because what
in
it
a
is,
week.
the people don't want to be fed the fluff. Just tell me how to do it, but give it to me in a manner I can understand. And I've been blessed, thank God, with that ability to do so. And then it's reflected in seeing what these people are doing today.
Yeah, that was the hard lesson they had to learn,
Yeah,
and the bottom that they had to build their foundation on,
yeah,
which was unfortunately trusting someone with a lot of money
yeah,
and a lot of time, that didn't give them what they wanted.
yeah,
But then finding you and being able to realize and see, because they had that other experience, that it's real.
yeah.
And, I'm sure you've had people too. I mean, you can, the old adage, you can bring a horse to
Oh
water,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
make it
yeah.
drink, right? We have students who come and they just want a quick thing, just tell me and I'll do it, and they don't put in the work, or they don't, because it's not, you don't do it for them. You're not going to go and actually go on and look at properties for them and find the one. You help them understand how to do that, but they still have to go do the work. We have the same thing at Planet Wealth when we help people raise capital. You still have to do the work. I can't put in all the details of your business. I don't know your business like you do. I don't know how much you want to raise. I can't tell you how much to raise. You have to come with that. You
You
have to
have
do the work. You have to look at the competitive analysis. You have to do all the things you have to do in order to actually be successful. Marketing, everything. Um, if you're willing to put in that work, though.
But unfortunately, the majority of people aren't. And then at the same time, too, they want to find someone to blame. And I always tell them, you're never gonna have an opportunity to blame me. 'Cause I don't run from you. I don't hide from you. I'm very easily accessible. So I always tell any of them, you have my number, call me. And when you do call me, be prepared to be challenged. So whatever roadblock you are in, we're gonna dissect it together. And I will guarantee you, you will see that the issue is not the information, the issue is not me, even though you want to blame it on someone, the issue is gonna be you. No one ever said it's gonna be easy. No one ever said that it's gonna fall on your lap. But what is said is there's too many people before you and during you that are doing it with the same information applied. So what makes the difference between you and them? And usually it's the work ethic. Usually it's the perseverance, the self belief in yourself. Usually that's what's the break in why this person is and why the other person hasn't.
Yeah, that's, I believe that's what it comes down to first. We really do. I agree with you. It's psychological before it's financial,
Yeah,
right? Or knowledge.
yeah.
It's psychological. And that could be, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what would happen if I
That's
had
okay.
all this money. I'm afraid.
That's
What,
okay.
who would I be? How can I handle it?
That's
What would all those fears are going to come up. Am I good enough? Right? Am I how why do I deserve this and somebody else might not?
you,
All that.
all of those things are powerful, and then it's fear, and then also guilt comes along with it. Because for a long time, maybe still to a little bit today, I suffered from economic guilt, and then because of that, people used me without me realizing or wanting to accept that they were, because economically I felt guilty. And not anymore. I don't allow that anymore. And it's okay. One of the good skill sets to develop is to be able to be able to say no, and be okay about that.
Yeah. So what are some of the parts of this process? You flip houses, you teach people how to do that. What are some of the parts of this of what you do that people overcomplicate? They make it much more complicated than they have to. And then how can you help them simplify those
Well,
things?
that's a great question, and thank you for that. And it's a great segue because you said that I flip properties, right? But the reality is the entire business of investing in real estate is a flip. Everything about this business is a flip. And if you think of anything about the business, you're flipping. So I give the examples of three major entry points of this business that the majority of people talk about. What's the first and most easiest part to come into the business that people talk about? They talk about wholesaling. What does a wholesaler do? A wholesaler gets a property under contract at the right price point and ultimately flip that property to somebody like me. So that's a flipper. The next one is going to be a flipper, like in the conventional sense, like HGTV. What does a flipper do? A flipper gets a property under contract at the right price point, renovates that property to ultimately put that property back on the market to flip that property to an end buyer, typically retail, right? Last but not least is going to be a buy and holder. Somebody's looking to keep for cash flow. What does a buy and holder do? A buy and holder buys a property at the right price point, renovates that property, rents that property out to ultimately flip that current mortgage into a long-term mortgage for passive income. Once I got that and I simplified it to that, you realize the entire business is a flip, is when everything changed for me. So then at that point, when people will ask me, what do you think I should do, Welby, getting into the business? Should I buy me a multifamily first? Should I buy me a flip first? Should I wholesale first? Should I do a subject to first? My response to them is, who cares? It doesn't matter. Because once you understand the fundamental foundations of it, whatever it is that you're looking to do, it's applicable to that concept. Now, when you understand how to utilize it and evaluate it, it helps you to determine what should you do. Maybe I'm not ready for flipping like HGTV. Maybe I don't have enough finances or money's liquid to be able to do it to that level. Maybe I should wholesale a little bit to build myself up. Or better yet, there's a lot of people that are already gainfully employed. They're making a high income and they realize the importance of having additional income, and they want to do buy and hold, and they have the extra money to do that. When they understand that fundamental foundation and apply it, it works the same way too. So once I understood that, hence that's how my company came about, Flips to Profits, because everything about the business is a flip.
There's a consistency I heard you say in all three of those scenarios. Buy a property at the right price point.
The reason why I gotta applaud you, the reason why I gotta applaud you is because I cannot tell you how many people that they don't catch on to that. Buy the property at the right price point, regardless what type of property, what angle you looking to do, from development to land to whatever. There's a right price point you have to be at the end result that you're looking for. And if you don't realize, you make your money on the buy in real estate. That's where you
Yeah.
make your money, not the sale, not the rent, the buy, because the buy is the start. It's like a Ferrari, if we could say a Ferrari, without the key. It's nothing. It means nothing. It's just a lump of metal that you can't do anything with it. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
key, you press that button to get in and to start the car or to turn the ignition. Now it's alive. That's
Yeah.
what buying at the right price point, having the ability to evaluate, is the key. So whatever the property is, it don't matter, because if you don't do it the correct way, the key to making it successful, it's not gonna work.
It's not, yeah,
So
it's not
when you
going to start that
understand that,
Ferrari.
yes, yes, yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Yeah, I listened for that. I heard that same thing every single time. That's how he started that conversation, with the very same statement. So that must be important. So how do you help people see themselves in this journey, rather than just the $25,000 check, the outcome?
What has to happen is we have to do everything from a macro point. Macro point is, where do you envision the way you see? I know people have heard people say that many times, but they diluted the importance of it, because at the end is, go to the back and give me $45,000. But the truth is, you have to have the ability to see the macro point of what you would like to achieve, and reverse engineer it to the micro point of where you at today. So once again, I give it to God. He's given me the ability to individualize uh the situation for the person, because a lot of times people are doing a cookie cutter approach, and the cookie cutter approach isn't going to work, right? So we have to have an understanding of, what does it look like for you later could be a year, 5, 30 years, it doesn't matter. Well, right now, I would like to generate $10,000 a month. Okay, cool, you like to generate $10,000 a month. What does that look like for you over there? Well, I would like to see if I can get me, I don't know, 50 units. I'm just throwing a number. Okay. So then let's go about it. And then we start to dissect it, following all the way back to where you at in present. Your present today, I'm saying it right, presence today is the foundation. Because whatever you're doing now is laying the foundation, and then everything is being built upon that to get over there at the end. So whatever you're doing now, if it's for what you would like the end result to be, if what you're doing today is not aligning with that, you're never going to get there. So we break it down in detail for you. And sometimes what you think that you want, you come to the realization it's not what you want. But people are tired. People are following people, regurgitating what they hear, not truly internalizing it, and not really absorbing it if it's really in fact for them. I did the same thing too. I have a lot of people today. I specialize predominantly in small multifamilies, 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, 10 unit buildings that I own. I cannot tell you how many people uh that I'll encounter and say, "Man, why don't you? When are you gonna go bigger?" And I said, "Why?" You know, when you have the detail, it's more of the aesthetics than the performance is what they're more concerned with. And not everything is for everybody, and I've been able to bless myself with a niche that really works for me. So why am I going to derail because keeping up with the Joneses is telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do? Now that doesn't mean that as I move forward that there's not going to be add-ons to what I'm doing or not. And that's why I encourage people to understand what is it that they need so that they understand the path. And I'm going to help you to get there. I'm going to help and show you how to do that. But it cannot be a cookie cutter approach. It cannot be.
I have a feeling that those 3 times things didn't work out as well as you would have liked. You may have been following something you thought you wanted,
Yeah, it did.
but you didn't.
It's true.
And then you realize now, this is what I want. I don't have to chase that thing that everybody says I should be chasing. I'm good with what I got.
I thought that entrepreneur, boss, whatever other title you want, I was more in love with the aesthetics, the look, the sound, and the water cooler moment. The water cooler moment of sitting around and bragging about what I'm supposedly doing. I was more interested in that. And then now I realized that the paths that I was taking, it's not really what I wanted. That's not how I wanted it, but I was never really putting in that work to be able to get there. I was never doing that. And that's what a lot of people are doing today too. They're never really, really put that work or really put that mindset or whatever to really get there. That's the reason why it doesn't work. At least long term, it doesn't work.
Well, and I gotta say, I also have a feeling because, you know, I didn't start from high places. Started in a trailer park,
No,
right? On a little ranch out in the middle of nowhere, and then in a trailer park, and then blah blah blah. Um, we don't we meaning people who don't have the life that you have been able to build for yourself. You don't know what it feels like.
yeah.
You don't know where you're headed except the superficial things that you see that people have. So it's natural to think those superficial things are the things you're looking for and the things you're striving for. But once you start learning that those superficial things are superficial, they don't really give you what it takes, and working for just to make the money, nobody wants to work very hard just to do that. There has to be some deeper reason.
You ever heard that statement that they are among us? Meaning, where I'm at, I'm a regular person. If you don't see me on Instagram, I'm a regular person. My neighborhood is I don't know, maybe an upper class if you want to say whatever, right? But it's hardworking people here,
Hmm.
but they are among us. But you don't know what's really going on inside someone else's home.
That's right.
The majority of my neighbors here, they all have mortgages that they've been paying on for 20, 30 years. The majority of my neighbors don't have their home paid off. The majority of my neighbors, like most Americans, are literally, even if they're high earners, living the check to check.
Yeah.
And then amongst us, there'll be the people that you see at the grocery store that aren't living in
Yeah.
that way, but they are among us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
and they don't stand out. In other
yeah,
words, they're not wearing some different kind of clothes or a different scar on their face to
yes,
identify them. Yeah,
yes.
I get you.
People got fed the belief of, oh no, I'm just gonna do some work and then I don't have to do anything. I'm just gonna go on the beach every day. And even that, I've attempted that where I've been on the beach for 2 weeks, and I'm like,
I
I
know.
cannot do this. Cannot be my life all day. This cannot be my life. But the sexiness of it, I could see how people, could get caught up. But it's not like the way a lot of people expect. Even hitting the threshold of quote unquote millionaire, people think that you're gonna get a celebration happening, and once you hit that threshold, the balloons are gonna come down. It's no, it's pretty much the same when it was a $500,000. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
6 figures versus 7 figures
yeah,
versus 8 figures. Then
yeah,
it's nine. It's just a
yeah.
number.
Yes, right.
Uh,
Right.
I can imagine too, Welby, that your time needs to be protected. Your time and attention, I can
Yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
to be able to ring in the new year in another country, in another place. To those experiences have a cost, and in order to say yes to something like that, you kind of have to say no to a few other things.
Yeah.
So, how are you protecting your time and attention to allow you to experience the things you can now experience?
I gotta do better at it, to be honest with you. I
It's
don't,
tough, huh?
it is tough. I gotta do better at it. I got to spoil myself better. I'll say no to myself, but then say yes or give to the people that I love or I care, right? I'm that person that I'll go get a sandwich and for extra tomatoes is 50 cents. I'll say no. And then someone I love will say, "Hey, I want to go to lunch, can whatever," and then the bill was $300 for lunch. You
Yeah.
know, so I gotta do better. I gotta do better in that category. But as far as time, I gotta do better. I gotta do better. I don't have a lot. I don't have it all figured out. I don't.
No, and I don't, I got to be honest, I don't think I'll figure it out
Yeah,
until the day I die. I mean,
yeah,
this is constant. This is a
yeah,
constant
yeah,
journey, right?
yeah,
To uncovering those things. But
yeah.
I do subscribe to and think to myself at times like that. The whole airplane analogy, where when the oxygen mask comes down, you got to put it on yourself first.
I agree.
Otherwise, you won't be there
I
to
agree.
put it on the other person, to
I,
put it on the one you love.
I
So
agree.
I have to keep reminding myself of that. Not
I,
that I
I,
do well at it,
I
but
don't do well at it at all. Recently, I'd say about 2 months ago, I had a medical scare where I was rushed to the hospital because I had internal bleeding. And I had internal bleeding due to a bladder stone, which was like a freak of nature that I guess butchered internally my bladder, that caused bleeding, and it was a whole big whatever. And in all of my years, I never had anything major medically, and then I found myself in the hospital. And not only I found myself in the hospital, not only I'm bleeding internally, I'm also bleeding externally. And then the bed sheets, it looked like somebody got,
murdered.
yeah, I want to be nice, right?
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, I'm thankful. Everything is good today, thank God, right? But it brought a lot of things full circle that I gotta tighten up on things. I gotta tighten up on my trusts. I gotta tighten up on what would have happened with what I worked for. That if I was incapacitated or God forbid I passed, right? So people think that you're so smart that you have it all figured out. But ladies and gentlemen, we're figuring this out every day. We're figuring it out. But because of that, partially when I said about bringing in the new year, that's one of the things I said, man, you know what? Let me do this and let me and enjoy more, more of what I've worked for. And even in this new year, I promised myself I'm not gonna go overboard because everything is within reason, right? But I said I'm gonna do better of enjoying what I work for, tightening up on my businesses and protecting what I have. I'm gonna do better than that, but I'm a work in progress. So
Yeah. Hate to break it to you. You're human like the rest of us. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely. But I really, the experiences, we can't take the money with us.
yeah.
We can't take the things, the things we buy, the Ferraris, unless you're Elon and you want to,
And the
shoot your
whole and
car.
the whole for the most part that we go to is gonna be the same size.
Same thing. That's right. And
So
and so really all we have is experiences while we're here
how
to
ironic! I told my
actually,
brother that. I told my twin brother that today. Yes, I like materialistic things too. Don't get
yeah,
me
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, of
But
course.
I said, man, but I want to have more experiences. I want to enjoy more experiences and stuff like that. And I'm going to, I'm going to
Yeah,
enjoy more experiences.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's so wonderful. Welby, it's been an amazing
I
conversation. Thank
appreciate
you. Is there any last piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with? Again, we call this fortunes of the brave
it.
because these things are scary, right?
Yeah,
We deal with things like the SEC. Just those letters alone
yeah,
scare me.
yeah.
So, bravery. Is there any last piece of advice you can give our audience to keep moving forward?
I would say that the world does not owe you understanding. Nobody cares about you as much as you think that they do. So you better love yourself as much as you would hope somebody loved you. And you're worth it. You're worth it. And why don't you bet on you? I know that there's a lot of things going on, a lot of rhetoric going on, but I'm proud of being an American. I'm proud of this country. We're not perfect. Far from it. We have a lot of things that we have to work on, but the opportunity given, there's a reason why the world wants to come over here, even though they have things to say about us, but yet they all want to come over here. And I would encourage people to please take advantage of it that you can. Take advantage of it that you can, because you only can do this thing called life one time. So why do it in mediocrity? Why do it at the bare minimum? Why do it lazy? So you do the best that you can to reap the rewards of being here. And I would encourage anybody, if there's anything involving real estate or the mindset of real estate, please reach out to me. It'd be a pleasure to work with you. It'd be a pleasure to invite you into my community. I can't tell you that. I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear, how you want to hear it. I'm gonna tell you the truth, nothing, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I will love you like a big brother. I will love you like a friend. I will protect you, but I will not play around with you in your time. So that's what I would say to people.
Yeah, thank you, Welby. All of your contact information is going to be in the show notes for this episode. So I encourage everyone to go check out what Welby's doing. I think you've heard honesty here. I don't think you're going to hear anything different on any of his social platforms. So don't be surprised when you hear the same thing. But Welby, thank you. I've sincerely enjoyed this, and I have a feeling we might hopefully be chatting again soon.
Oh, we got to. We got to. There's a lot of amazing things happening, and I hear great things about what you guys are doing. And I'm praying that somewhere we'll meet in the middle and we could do some things together. I think there would be a great collaboration.
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear what the next experience is going to be. So you enjoy your day.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Have questions, feedback, or a challenge we should spotlight? Email us at podcast@planetwealth.com or connect with Planet Wealth on your LinkedIn. Your story could fuel our next breakthrough conversation.